You ever ask yourself, I want to buy a new house, I want a new car, but you don't have the credit score to get it? And you ever wonder, how do I build my credit? I know to get a credit card, but what do I do? How do I use it to maximize the benefits and play the system in my favor? Well, in this video, we're going to dive right into that topic, and I'm going to give you a few tips on how to build your credit and have that system play in your favor. Hey everyone, Senzu here, and welcome back to another video. Here on this channel we talk everything and anything life improvement, whether that be through mental health, physical health, or spiritual health. Improvements in finances, or just through some entertainment. So don't be surprised if you see a couple gaming videos here and there. If you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs button. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button down below, as this helps me tremendously. And if you'd like to see more of me and my ideas, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you don't miss when I go live or on a live stream or when a new video goes live. Well, enough about this, let's jump right into the video. Alright guys, let's get right into it. I have everything written down, so I might mess up a little bit, and if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. But make sure you guys watch until the end of the video, because I have two bonus tips to help you really maximize all of this information into your favor, and that's using I'll just get into it at the end. But anyways, you know, people tell you about, oh, how do you build your credit? And they tell you the obvious. Oh, you get a credit card, make small charges on the card, and like gasoline and stuff like that, and pay it off. But they don't really tell you what your FICO score or your credit score is made up with. And there's 5 key categories that the FICO score is made up with. And it's new credit, length of credit history, credit mix or types of credit you've used, the amount you owe, the total debt you owe, and lastly, the payment history. Clearly, payment history and level of debt, substantially drive your FICO score, but let's get into the least impactful portions and then move on to the more impactful portions of it. So, types of credit used. FICO scores will consider the mix of credit that you've used, like credit cards, retail accounts, installment loans, finance company accounts, mortgage loans. But just don't worry, you don't need all of these in order to get a good credit. It's just they put in that into consideration, and it's a really small portion. So like if you see right here, it's only 10%. And then there's new credit. FICO scores consider how often you actively apply to credit in the past year. So rate shopping, stuff like, so when you're looking to open new credit cards, like stuff like rate shopping, like promotional insurance and employment inquiries don't really count against you. So that's good. So don't worry about like getting that stuff. But if you can avoid it, try not to open too many accounts too rapidly, as this will drop your score. And then the third thing is length of credit history. In general, a longer credit history will increase your FICO scores. However, even if people who haven't been using credit for long may have a high FICO credit score, like myself. I don't have much credit history, but my credit score was pretty good because it was depending on the rest of my report. But the things that the length of credit history puts into consideration is how long you've established credit from the oldest account to your newest account, and then the average age of those accounts, and then how long specific accounts have been established. That's really important. So like I'm sure I'll put up a picture right here kind of telling you the averages and an example, and then how long has it been since you used certain accounts. So that's things that the length of credit history puts into consideration when adjusting your FICO score based off of this portion. Also, another portion that your FICO score is made up of is, and it's one of the big ones, one of the most impactful ones, and is the total debt that you have, or the debt that you already are carrying. So are your credit cards nearly maxed out? If they are, this shows that this shows banks that you're overextended and that you're more likely to miss payments and maybe even higher risk of going into default. And then how many accounts do you have? That's another thing you need to, how many accounts do you have? How much do you owe? Debt to income ratio kind of thing. And then how much of your credit, for example, a credit card, and this is a really, really important part. And I'll get into it a little bit later in the video, towards the end of the video, but your utilization rate. So if you're using $7,000 of your $10,000 credit limit, you're utilizing 70% of your credit line, and then but if you're using too much of your credit, just make sure that you're being smart when using your credit cards, because one thing that I would suggest doing is, if I bought gas with my credit card and I get the receipt and it's $50, I put $50 into a savings account, so I know that the money's there, it's out of my debit card, don't gotta worry about it. And then that way you're not missing any payments or anything like that. And then the last but the most important is your payment history. The first thing any lender wants to know is whether you've paid past credit accounts on time. This helps lenders figure out the amount of risk it will take when extending credit to you. This is the most important, I'm telling you, the most important. When you're developing that credit history on the last portion, or on the last portion I talked about, oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time talking. It's really important that you have good payment history. Like, if you have long credit history and it's all bad, a couple good payments is not going to do it for you. You need to make sure that all your payments are on time, they're paid in full, or at least to a good utilization rate, and then you're good. But you need to ask yourself questions like, have you missed payments? If so, how often, how recent, and how late were they? Those are what the lenders or your FICO score is consisted of. That's the things that they consider. How often are you missing payments? Are you missing a lot? Are you using a ton of your credit and then missing it for 2 months? That's going to drop your score tremendously. And then have your debts turned over to collection agencies? And then have you had any foreclosures or bankruptcies, filed bankruptcy? And those are things that you really need to try to avoid, and just avoid missed payments altogether. Because the more recent, more frequent, and severe these negative items are, the bigger the impact. Be sure to keep your accounts in good standing to build healthy credit history, because life happens. So if you miss a couple, it's not the end of the world. You can build it back up over time. But if, for all my young viewers, be sure to start good. Just don't be buying new Yeezys or putting down payments on a car with your credit card. If you don't have the money, don't do it. Don't buy the car. But that is the things that people don't really tell you about. When I first started my credit, I did not know any of this stuff. But now that we know how to build your credit and how your credit and your FICO score is made up of, what it is made up of, then now we can get into those bonus tips that I was talking to you about. Oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time talking. I even got notes and I can't even talk. But all right, bonus tip numero uno. Number one, finding out when your bank lender reports to the credit bureau. This is called like a cycle end date or whatever. You can see it on your bank statement or whatever. Or what I did is I just called up my lender or like my bank and was like, hey, when do you report to the credit bureau? Okay, the 25th of August or the 25th of every month. All right, well, that's good to know, because that's when you can really use that utilization rate, which is what I was trying to talk to you about before, but I was waiting till the end so I can make it its own section. But utilization rate is really important. And so to reiterate, it's how much of your credit line you're utilizing. So like I said, 7,000, you use 7,000 of your total 10,000 credit. That's a 70%. You're utilizing 70% of your credit line. No bueno. That's no good. The best percentage you want to keep it to is between 10 and 1%. And you guys might be asking, like, well, why don't we just pay it off? Like, pay it off in full. Isn't that the best? Like, they can see that I'm using my credit and then paying it all off. Yeah, that might be good, but for my younger viewers and the people that are just trying to start establishing their credit, it's best that you start utilizing your credit and showing that you are using it. And so that way the credit bureau is like,
wow, he's not a really risky person to lend money to. Maybe we can, maybe the bank can extend and make his credit limit higher or whatever.
Because the higher the credit limit, the more you can utilize within that 1 to 10% credit limit. And so that's tip number one. Now, tip número dos. Tip number two is when you're using your credit card, and this is something I didn't know, I just recently found out, your bank, so let's just say Bank of America, I don't really bank with them, but let's just say they gave us $1,000 credit line and I'm just spending a little here, a little there. Let's say I spent $500 of that $1,000 credit limit. I'm at a utilization rate of 50%. Like I said in tip one, when you know your credit, when you know your bank is going to report to that credit bureau, you can drop your utilization rate back down to that 10 to 1% range. And the reason you're like, oh, well, why is this beneficial, is because your bank sees all those little nitty gritty details of what you're spending your money on, but the bureau only care about how much you still owe and how much you have available. So if I have $80 and I've only, I spent $500 and then I paid it down to $80 and my credit limit is $1,000, then I'm only utilizing 8%. And the credit bureau goes,
wow, they're a really good person to lend money to. They're not really risky, and that's great.
Score goes up. And then the bank goes, wow, they're using the credit, but at least they're paying it down from 50 to 8%. But yeah, this is by far the best two ways to start growing that credit. Now, I've given you the tools of knowing what the FICO score is made up of, and now 2 little tips on how to really play this into your favor. So guys, be sure to rewatch the video if I went over something really fast. But if you guys like this content, please hit that thumbs up. It pushes out this information to other young viewers or other people that want to start building their credit or wanting to learn how credit is made. And then subscribe for more content like this. Like I said, we talk about life improvement, whether that be finances, health, whether that be mental, physical, or spiritual health. And then, we do a little gaming here. So hit that post notification button too, because then you can see when I go live on live streams, and we can hang out and talk about these topics not in person. I always say that, but live, and me asking you, me answering your questions in real time. And then whenever I put out a new video, and if you're interested in seeing it, you get a little post notification saying, hey, Senzu put out another video. This is what it's about. Do you want to watch it? All right, guys. But I appreciate you guys stopping by to the stream. To the stream. No, I meant to say thank you for stopping by to the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.